Hi guys, Little Miss Mika here, and I'm here with a tutorial on how to make my brand new intro logo thing. I decided to add Rosie. There was missing something, and Rosie was just that little thing missing, so I decided to add her and make her sort of jump to the audio, so the song that my friend Brenton had made, Audio Assassin, and she just sits there and bumps, and we've got all these little colourful lines swirling and little spots, and yeah, just Little Miss Mika, the title there. So I'm gonna teach you guys how to make this. So we'll start off by making a new project and adding a composition. We'll call this main. We'll leave the width and the height, and we'll make the colour, well, the background colour black. You guys can add whatever colour you want for whatever you guys want to add. I've given you a folder with the sound, like the music, my raccoon, and the finished project just to show you guys what it ends up being like. New comp, and we'll go into that folder I was just referring to, bringing them sound, the music, and Rosie. Yeah, I named it Rosie No BG, which is background. And we'll drag these two into here. Okay, cool. So we'll scale Rosie down a little bit to about this big. And the next step we need to do is go animation, keyframe assistant, and convert audio to keyframes. This gives us this one here, which now has turned the audio into a keyframe so we can edit it. Bring down the little arrows for both the audio and Rosie. We'll bring this one to the bottom so we don't have to worry about it. It's not going to do it. There we go. And open up effects. Open up transform. So what we need to do now, I'll lift this up so you guys can see it. You see how there's the left channel and the right channel? This is for the different sort of sound width. I can't explain it. And we are going to get the scale to link with that, and to do that we hold Shift Alt and press the equals button, and it'll make this go red, and we'll come up with this. So we grab this thingy here. I'm great at just naming things, and we'll take this to the slider, which will bring these two temps here, there's a lot more text there, but we only really need this bit. So we're going to make this plus 25 to change Rosie from being too small at the start to a nice scale, a nice width, which 25 seemed to have worked the last time. After we do that with Rosie, we are now going to add a text. We've pretty much finished with Rosie, mind you. So right click, new text. Now I'm going to add Little Miss Mika because it was for my YouTube channel, but you can add whatever picture you want and whatever text you want. Mind you, the picture has to have no background to make sure that the stuff we're going to add behind it is visible. And make sure the text is visible, so we'll make it a lot bigger and bring it down here. Rosie can stay in the middle, just about here. And now that we add the text, I'm pretty sure that's all we need to do for the text. The text, we won't make it move, so people can read Little Miss Mika. I'll also like to add a border around the text, so the stuff that goes behind it, it's a lot easier to read. I've put the border up to 4 to make sure to do that, and to do that you go to fill stroke, because it's usually something different, and it will come up with this, and you can make it whatever you want. 4 seemed to have worked pretty good with me. You can change the colour to whatever colour you want the text. You can even make like a really rosy sort of pink. Make sure you outline this thing first. So rosy pink. It's just a little bit more visible, even though the background will probably be a lot of colours, a lot hard to see. So we'll make it about there. Alright. Now we are going to make those little wavy lines in the background. So we'll lock all them so they don't move, and we'll hide them. And we'll make a new solid. This one's going to be a lot thinner compared to it's going to be a lot thinner compared to the actual comp size, and a lot higher, just so it's easy to edit. And we want really good lines, and I made that white. We don't want it white, mind you. So go to layer, solid settings, and change the color. We'll make it black. So you see how there is this long sort of red line. That's our new black solid. We can't see it because it's under the grey bit. However, we will now go Effect, Noise Grade, and we'll go to Fractal Noise, which will bring this in. Okay, so the next thing we do after we get this is we go Transform, and we untick Uniform Scaling, so we can now edit this. From what I preferably like to get those really long lines is to make the scale width around 75 and the scale height around 3000, because we want it really, really long, which gives us this effect, which looks like hair to me currently right now. And then after that, we go to Contrast. And in Contrast, we make that 500. So it gets rid of all the lightness and puts in dark and makes the other white, like the lighter bits lighter. And the brightness, we need to make it really, really low. So I put about negative 85, negative 85, negative 87, around about there, to give us this sort of streaky looking colour. Well, the streaks, pretty much. And what we need to do now is to go to the start of the video, which is what we're already at. And we go down to Evolution. And when we get to Evolution, we tick it. So it makes us start from here, go all the way to the end. And we'll make this around, I'd say around maybe 5 or 6, because I want to move somewhat fast compared to slow, so we get that full effect. So when you play it, it moves fast, looks like it's a calm sort of flow, sort of what people want to watch. Okay, now that we've got that sort of streaky sort of movement, we go Effect, we then go Distort, and we go to Bezier Warp, or Bezier Warp, or however it's pronounced. So we can now move it to whatever shape we like. So I like how we can make it come down around here and around here. So edit it to however you want. I quite like this effect, where I can move this inward and it's about here. Just get a nice sort of rhythmy flow from one end to the other. Okay, now that I've got it in a position I kinda like, so wavy, try not to join the lines too much. However, we can edit that so the lines don't look too joint, but they still look okay. And what we can do is increase the quality, which is right here, to 10. That's for the lines, mind you. So the quality, so when you go in closer, the lines aren't too bad. I'll make it go back to 8 so you can see the difference. And then we need to change the mode, which if you don't know how to do that, you go to this. And we need to get this bit, and we need to change it to screen, which is right here. This is just to do magic stuff. And then we go to Effect, color correction, we go to hue and saturation. This will give us our color. So what we need to do next is tick the colorization, which gives us a slight color. We need to make it a dark purple. And to do that, we increase the saturation to give us a darker sort of tone. I'd say just about there, because I still want to have the sort of white color to it. And we move this one until we get a nice dark purple, which is about there. We'll also change the name to this, and we'll call it dark purple. Because we will eventually duplicate it, but right now we need to go Effect, Stylize, and go to Glow, which is right here. And the glow radius, we need to make it more, so give it that sort of really shiny light effect, which that looks pretty okay. The next thing we need to do is click this and go Control D, which duplicates it. Instead of calling it dark purple, we are going to call it pink, or whatever other color you're going to have. And as you can see, when you select this, you can drag it out of place. So we'll only move it just slightly, because we're going to edit it a bit more, make it a different shape so it's not identical. And to do that, there is Bezo Warp. Sorry, I really don't know how to pronounce it. And we're going to slightly move it. So by clicking it, zooming out, and slightly moving where we want it. I'm quite right with that. Oh yeah. Next thing we need to do is slightly move it out of place. So we'll tick the ping, grab this bit and move it slightly, and then bring this way, depending how long you want it. And it slightly moves it out of place. So when you go play, you can see a massive difference between that one and that one. And the next bit we are going to do is change it to pink, which to do that you go to the hue and saturation, colorize is already ticked, and we just move it slightly to a pink like color, or maybe red. No, that looks pretty okay. I like that one. So when you see it move, you can see all the different colors for pink and purple. Now, when you're watching this, it looks really, really bright, and if you're going to have a text or Rosie, for example, that's taking up a lot of the view. So what we can do is we'll go to contrast and make it less, so it's a bit sharper for both of them. So get that effect. Okay, now that we've finished that, we need to make a new solid because we are going to add little bubble-like things. And we've got to make this comp size because the bubbles have to go over the comp. It's not going over just the lines and the streaks. So make it comp size and go... Actually, we're going to change it to white. We'll do this now. We can do it later, but changing it to white because it's only going to be the bubbles. Alright, now that we have our new solid, we need to go into effects and look for, well, start typing in particle. And CC particle world is the one we're going to, so we're going to drag that onto this and it's going to come up like that. Now, with this, it's coming up like fireworks. We're not quite wanting that. We want little tiny circular bubbles. And the first thing we need to do is make it a solo layer, which means all the rest are hidden except for that one. I like to lock these, just so if anything happens to the background, we can go back to it. Also, it's probably too late to say this, but make sure you keep pressing Control S. Make sure you keep saving. And the next thing we need to do is go to Grid and Guides and untick Grid, which will get rid of that blue thing. The next thing we need to do is to open up Producer, Physics, and Particle, because we are going to use most of these. And we are going to increase the radius of the X. So make it fairly long. Increase the radius of Y. And when we get to this bit here, we're going to increase the radius of Z, which makes it look more 3D. And the next thing we're going to do is go to velocity and go 0, which makes it just go up and down. So it looks like rain. The next thing we need to do is to go to gravity and make that 0. So it all just sits in one place and sparkles. And the next thing we need to do is to change the particle, which we go to particle type. Instead of line, we're going to go to lens bubble, which makes these little tiny bubbles. And we need to change the birth size and the death size of the bubble, which can be 0.1 or 0.15. I typed in 15, didn't I? Much better. Which makes it smaller or larger. You can sit there and edit them as much as you like. Like we can have really big bubbles or really small bubbles, but I quite like this size because we don't want too much attention being grabbed there because we want it to be on Rosie, the raccoon. So there are two ways to change the color of the bubbles, and that can be layer, solid settings, and changing it to whatever color you want that way. However, if you leave it white and you go to Effect, Color Correction, Hue and Saturation. So we're going to add hue and saturation to this. We tick the colorize and then we decrease the lightness. So it's going to be harder to see. However, that will let us allow our color. So once we bring this up, you can start seeing the red. We can make it sort of a lightish red. So when we go to move this, we can make it whatever color we want. I quite like this to go with it. Okay, and now once we have done that, we can untick this, unlock all these, and bring out that bit. Oh, right. Rosie is behind everyone, so we'll bring that ahead. So Rosie's ahead. Same with our text, so it's easier to see. And now that we've got it here, we are pretty much done.